Hello people of the internet, it's Amanda, and if you're new here on my channel, I usually talk about Japanese movies, dramas, and Asian pop culture topics. But one specific thing that I've been talking about for years now is Number I. Now, Number I specifically, just a couple of months, but I've been a fan of Irana Shokishi Yuta and Jinguji Yuta ever since they were in KP. I've done a couple of videos about Kimpuri before, and now that they're in Number I, so I'm also doing a bunch of videos about their releases, all these other things. And for today's video, I'm gonna be talking about the toHEROes to be first super live archive stream that's now available globally on Amazon Prime Video. I've watched the live stream of this concert. Me and my friend who we got together because of Kimpuri. We're both fans. I'm a Shotan, she's a Jinta, and then we eventually became really close. And so it's just this fun bonding moment that happened when the stream was happening because we got together. We watched the stream together. We really dressed up for it, had fun. I posted a short video about here on my channel as well. But it was just a super exciting thing. We had our Uchiwas with us and our pen lights, and we watched the event and all these things. And you know, finding out that there's gonna be an archive that is available to stream anytime, just repeat the concert over and over again. And aside from that, be available with 29 other languages as subtitles. It's just an exciting thing because I don't know, if you know, you know. And so it's just fun to relive that kind of experience and be able to relive that along with this short documentary thing or short interview that they had prior to the concert and after the concert happened. And so I don't know, it's just a fun thing. And I figured that now that the archive is out and people can watch it over and over again, I want to talk about my favorite parts or some of the highlights in that particular concert that I absolutely loved. And maybe later in the comments you can share with me, you know, your favorite parts of the concert as well. And if it's available in the country, if you've seen it and where you're watching it from, because I'm watching it from the Philippines. So without further ado, let's just get to the video. Okay, so starting with one of the cutest things in the video, Number I's interaction with Wink First. Now, Wink First is kind of the first unit that was formed from the new set of trainees that to be the agency, their agency is currently having. And they're a group of 5 kids with, I think, 3 members who are 11 years old, one who is 13, and another one who is 12. And they're really cute. They performed this song, and you know, they're very enthusiastic and very energetic. Obviously, you know, their kids are very excited to be on stage, to be able to perform and potentially be big stars as well when they reach, you know, the peak of their careers and debut and all these things. But for now, you know, these are just a couple of kids who managed to get to the big stage and perform in Tokyo Dome, which I feel you know, is not every 11, 12, or 13-year-old can say about their lives. So I think it's just a nice experience for them. And I just find that entire interaction really cute. I feel Number I was the good kind of Number I were kind of the best people to kind of introduce them, especially since the 3 of them are already doing so well in their careers. And I mean, I'm totally biased because I'm their fan, but I do think that they serve as good role models for kids nowadays, especially who want to be in the industry themselves, is to look up to 3 people who are really aspiring to be as big as they are in the industry and, you know, just being at the top of their game at the moment. So it's just a good kind of look into the 3 of them. They've also been trainees in the past, and it's just a nice, cute interaction, I would say. And I don't know, the kids are just so cute. And they also introduced other trainees as well, because when they introduced like those 5 kids before in like the Christmas Tobe-ban episode, if I remember correctly. They didn't say whether or not there are other trainees, but they brought out all of the other trainees, which were a lot of kids in that particular portion as well. But they're kind of like the first trainee unit that came out, like Wink First. So it's just cute because seeing them, you know, performing, and they kind of like have this we are the star like core group into this like ensemble performance of all the other trainees. I know, I just find it really adorable, and that's why it made it into one of my highlights from that particular concert. Now after that, my next favorite part is Be On Your Side. Now, Be On Your Side is a charity song that was written by, again, since I'm a fan of No.O, so I have to say it, it's written by Kishi and Jin. They were the ones who initiated conversations to have this going, because if you remember, like I think a couple of months ago, an earthquake hit a part of Japan, the Noto Peninsula, and so this is part of like their charity efforts, like streaming on YouTube, streaming on other platforms. They also sold a CD which is going to be released 1st of May, if I remember correctly. So the proceeds for this charity single will go to, you know, efforts to help in the disaster-stricken areas. And it's just like, even outside of that, like Be On Your Side, they posted it on YouTube. There are English subtitles. It's such a good song. It talks about how even if you can't physically like hold someone's hand to help them or something like that, there's this still intent to be there for them, for, you know, all these different kinds of like methods or ideas to be with them in these situations. And it's just not one way of helping someone who you feel like is troubled or going through some stuff. And I think it's just a beautiful song. They performed it along with the other to be artists. For some reason, I really like the way that they arrange the artists who sang each part. Like, for example, the first part of it, there's Kitayama, and then there's Miyake-kun, and then after that, you know, the 3 of them, obviously, and then the second stanza of it, most of the members of the IMP with the blending and everything, and then they kind of like mesh it together in a way that, and then there's Ritsuki as well. Like, it wasn't messy in a sense, because obviously if you have like a huge group of people singing a song, there has to be some strategy in a sense that should go into the arrangement as well. You can't just have all these different people singing it and stuff, you know. There's a lot of work that goes into that as well, and they made it work in a sense that it sounds like a really beautiful ballad, where there's not a part that's kind of like sticking out really weirdly and stuff, at least just on a technical sense. That's my opinion on it. And I think my favorite part of it is in that bridge where Jin and Kishi had their kind of like harmony and duet, and then it kind of like moved to like Sho singing his lines softly, which leads up to kind of like the final chorus of the song. Such a beautiful part. Next on my list, part of the highlights that I like are the unit performances. Now this one I figured is obviously like all of the artists, this is their first concert together, and they're a relatively like new company, so they only have like, even if the artists have released a lot of songs already, it's still not a lot to kind of like fill an entire concert proper, to just have a lot of like songs coming through and all that. So I understand why there are some quote-unquote filler moments in the concert. Now I really love it because it started off with this performance kind of like situated in these glass cases, and they performed it's kind of like doll-like robotic number. I really love it because I'm so proud of Jin. Like, I've talked about this a million times in previous videos before. I've always thought of him as most improved, especially when it comes to his dancing. Even his vocals have definitely grown over the years, that ever since I became a fan of them. Like, I absolutely get emotional talking about his growth as an artist. And so seeing him like that, his snappy movements and everything, it's just so beautiful to watch. And along with other members of IMP, who I also really like, and I do think that they performed that number really well, with kind of like level of, again, doll-like stoicness, but there's still a lot of like dimension into that performance, which I really enjoyed. And I like how there's this particular part where Jin just kind of like moved his sunglasses down, and then fans went wild. Like, you can hear the crowd just screaming. Absolutely love it. And then it transitions to Show's solo part. Now, I talk about unit performances, so I still find it funny that he performed solo. But I don't know, that's Show for you. That was, I mean, it's no secret here on my channel that I've always loved Show. He's my favorite artist, idol of this era, I would say. I've been a fan of him for 6 years now. I just recently celebrated my 6th Choran anniversary, and I just find like those kinds of movements that he did in his solo performance, that's very him. He's always had a nice shapes, nice corners, clean lines when it comes to his dancing, and it really, like, it kind of, there's something about that performance where it's almost puppet-esque, like someone initially losing control of their limbs and creating these kinds of movements, and then eventually having more control over them. And that's the vibe of the performance. Like, the stills prior that came out from this performance, beautiful, especially with the ones of him sniffing the rose. And then it transitioned into like him leaving through a door, and then Kishi coming out of a door, and he was in this flashy retro-esque kind of costume. And then again, I've talked about this before as well, I've always loved Kishi's dancing. I think that he has his own unique vibe and style, his own slickness when it comes to his movements, and it showed in that performance a lot. Like, again, it definitely has an 80s, 90s kind of like dance music vibe and dance style kind of vibe. And then what's cute about this is Miyake-ken joined him in that particular number, and I love that. Like, Ken and Kishi, you wouldn't think that Miyake-ken is already in his 40s. Like, the groove, crazy. They were so cool to watch. It was so amazing. Just the movements, a lot of snappiness to it. Again, the best thing that I can think of in describing that number is like a level of sleekness to it. And it's so cute when it ended and they kind of like tapped each other and then gave each other that kind of chest bump. So cute. And I think the way that they dance as well really complemented each other, so I absolutely love that. I just absolutely love how that entire sequence happened. And yeah, so another highlight for me. Next for me would be, and I will talk about this collectively, like all of these stuff, because I think that they had the most songs at the time, and therefore they also had most of the performances, which I had no complaints about. IMP. Now, I've talked about this previously, and I think you would notice through the history of my channel as well, I don't really talk about a lot of groups at all, because I'm the type of person that if I have a favorite, they're usually just my favorite. I don't go branching out into other things. My Spotify playlist has been as it is for I think almost more than a decade now, because when I like something I tend to just repeat over and over, and it's the same thing back then with KP, now with Number I. I usually just have a very laser focused kind of attention span when it comes to these things, you know. Plus it also helps save a lot of money, because if you're not standing a lot of groups, then therefore you don't have to shell out that much. But I was kind of surprised at the level of how much I started paying attention to IMP. Like, obviously it's still not on the same level as I do with Number I, but I think I've grown fond of IMP because, and I've talked about this on X/Twitter before, I do think that at a time where I was so anxious as to what Jin and Sho were gonna do, whether or not they're waiting for Kishi, or is Kishi gonna join them at all to be in all these other things? Will they form a unit? I don't know where the activities of those two were going to head at the time. Like, I was really anxious then, and IMP kind of like became the comfort group, you know, while I was waiting for those three. They were there, they were really entertaining. I was kind of surprised that they weren't, like, I didn't pay much attention to them back when they were in their previous agency, because I don't see a lot of visibility from them as well, as compared to like the other groups within the same staging at the time. But like, I do think, like, I was surprised at the level of, like, they're a really good dance group, they're a really good vocal group as well, and they're pretty entertaining. Like, as I mentioned, you know, I watched the live with a friend, and we kind of like watched IMP videos together back then, because she's a Jintan, I'm a Shotan, and we were both kind of like anxious, waiting for whatever it is that Jiguhiro were going to do at the time, and whether or not Kishi would join them. And so, like, IMP was kind of like the comfort group that we latched onto. And even when Number I formed, like, we were already fond of IMP at the time. So watching them, and I was kind of surprised about this as well. When I watched the stream last March 17, I was actually really emotional watching them perform, especially when they performed one of their songs, like, titled after the group, which is IMP, like the song. It actually made me really emotional, because again, like, especially the lyrics of the song, like, I like the line, "Today's the day we reunite." That was so good in a sense. Like, I don't know why, but it really made me emotional in the sense that they were finally able to kind of like jump into this and be able to debut, and also to meet their fans all over again, who are also waiting for what's next for them. And here they are performing, not just anywhere but in Tokyo Dome. And I don't know, like, that made me really emotional. And I just love their songs overall. Like, I think they're very fun, upbeat. It matches their kind of like potential as a group. Especially most of their songs are dance songs as well. They do have some preppy songs, but I really like the songs that they've been releasing so far. I think they're very catchy, and they're just a talented group of kids. And recently they performed in Shanghai. Yeah, so, and yeah, they deserve the hype. So I love their performance, and I do think that their performances are also some of my favorites from the concert. So yeah. Now, for the remaining 4 things in this list, these are all Number I focused. Okay, so, and obviously, like, I'm a Number I fan, so you should have seen this coming. But starting with the Fuji performance, that entrance was epic. And I love how, because this concert, like, when it first live streamed, they allowed the audience to film a part of, like, the first part of the concert. So obviously fan cams were everywhere, because this wasn't something that was allowed, and I think most Japanese concerts don't also allow this. But that caused a lot of hype from the fans to even anticipate the stream, because we saw the performances from days 1 to 3 when fans who were there were posting about it. And they performed Fuji. The way that they did it, they were kind of like in this floating platform, feeling like overlords over the stage. high energy. Each day they were getting more and more aggressive in terms of the vocals, in terms of the stage presence, everything. The all black outfits, Jin and Sho with their eyeglasses, Kishi, who I find so adorable because even if the song is kind of like this cool-ish vibe, you know, he's just smiling there, all excited. It shows on his face and I absolutely love that. Meanwhile, Jigohira were so busy kind of like looking cool. Looking cool. I love that they're just their own thing, doing their own things. And like Fuji, it's not high choreography level, that kind of song. It's not like that, but it's all about energy. It's all about attitude. They've shown that in all the different stages that they performed it in, even in, you know, like Coachella and in TV and all of these things. But that was the first actual live performance of Fuji that was seen, and it didn't disappoint, especially again with the messaging of the song, that even the view at the top of Mount Fuji is not enough for them. Like, they're aiming high. Absolutely love that. And they're aiming high, like they're there at the top, you know, doing this and just owning that stage. Absolutely love it. So yeah, favorite, definitely. Next after that would be No.I's full set. So obviously they only have 6 songs at the time when the concert happened, but they performed all of that. They started with Blow Your Cover, and then after that, if I remember correctly, they did Rain or Shine, and then Is It Me? Is It Me, I didn't like it as much when I first heard it, but seeing them perform it and then eventually just hearing about it over and over again, I have come to love that song. So just putting it out there. And then I think like after that they performed, which one? Midnight City or Rain or Shine, I forgot, whichever, but just that order. And then of course they had to do Goat. My favorite thing about Goat is just seeing the entire audience go wild when they started doing it. Go, 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 go. And the pen lights all were kind of like just moving. It was so energetic. The dome was shaking, or at least it gave the impression that it was shaking because of how lively everyone were. It was a blast, and I think they were also having the time of their lives there. Like, they were owning that stage. They really made it their moment at the time when they performed Goat on that stage, and the energy was there, not just from them but also from the crowd, and that made it even better. And that's the reason why I just absolutely loved that Goat performance. And I love that they were able to do it not just with, like, they were able to do that live during the time that the live stream happened. Like, it wasn't just the people there who experienced that firsthand, but even the people who are watching at home, chanting to them like Goat, and the first time that they performed it in a big stage like that in Tokyo Dome. So that was really something, and to be able to relive that in the Prime Video stream was just equally as cool. And I just found it really nice and fun. And then speaking of that full set, my second, before my overall favorite part of the concert, my second favorite part of this entire thing is the Goat encore. Now, when the Goat, like the first performance of Goat in the actual kind of like performance proper, it was really cool. The Goat encore was so funny because prior to this, like, No.I already performed Goat in several kind of like TV shows at the time before the concert. And a lot of people are kind of like talking shit about them, saying that they're lip syncing or they couldn't sing it live or blah, 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 all those other things. Like, a lot of negative stuff about them performing this. Now, I've already shared my opinions about lip syncing and live performances and whatever in previous videos. If you want me to have like a solo video just specifically talking about that in a general sense, I might do that in the future. But moving past that, you know, what's funny about this is they kind of like just showed their mastery of this song by switching lines. Like, they didn't sing the original lines from the original track and kind of like switch things up a bit, because as they've said, they tried multiple variations of this song, so obviously they know each line by heart. And Kishi was kind of lost in a little bit, but it's just classic, adorable Kishi, I would say. I love that Jin made fun of Kishi's part on the encore, and what I love the most about this is, even if it's not their solo concert, it was nice to see them just having fun with the song and just having fun with the audience and just taking that lively energy on stage, even when and obviously it was the last song that was being performed in that night as the encore song, along with the other encore songs that was performed by the other artists, but they were kind of like the closing act for this. So like the idea of it being full energy, but also at the same time just something that's casual and amusing, I love how they own that, and I think overall I just absolutely love them. So there's also that. But yeah, now on to my number one favorite part of this concert. And this is gonna sound silly because this isn't actually a part of, you know, the actual concert proper with the performances and all of these things. The reason why this is my favorite, my top one, this made me unexpectedly cry during the first, like when I watched the stream last March 17. And I think it's because I was hoping for it, but I wasn't expecting that it was gonna happen. And that is when No.O said their goodbyes and they already kind of like thanked the audiences and they were about to leave the stage. Shaw said, "Shinanayo." Now, Shinanayo, or for my English-speaking audience, it means don't die. And a little bit of context for people who don't know. So Shaw has been saying this not really all the time at the end of all concerts, but he said this before. It's kind of like one of the lines that a lot of people associate with him, simply because he says it occasionally in some end of concerts, for the very reason that it's kind of like a reminder for people, because he's experienced a lot of loss in himself. He's experienced a lot of almost losses in his life as well when it comes to loved ones, close friends, etc. And so he's always talked about how much he values life and being able to cherish, you know, the people that surrounding you and all these things. And it's kind of like a reminder to his fans or people who are watching him to don't die just yet, because, you know, there's always another opportunity to meet. And it's such an inspiring thing, and it's so blunt, it's so straight to the point, like that particular line, and it's just so short. And I started bawling when I heard that. And I saw a lot of people on my timeline, everything, reacting the same way. Shodan or not, like, because I think if you know the history of why Shaw talks about that, or the way that Shaw just mentions that line, or just the idea that after what happened with KP back then, we never really expected that they would be back on stage, more so on Tokyo Dome, and be able to like perform and have this, like, to be able to enjoy this again, and to hear something as familiar as that, especially in this new beginning that he has with No.O. It was such a big, and even on a personal level, I know, like, I am speaking for myself, and I think for other people as well, even if it's just so short, that small line, that small phrase means so much because of just the message that it conveys. And hearing that, I don't want to cry, hearing that during that day, like, I was so proud of myself, because throughout the entire stream, I was surprised that I was a little bit more emotional with IMP's performance than with No.O, because, you know, everything that I felt during the No.O performance is I'm just really, really happy that they're back. I'm really happy that they're performing. I was getting teary-eyed at some parts of it, just seeing them having fun, but I didn't like full on cry, which I expect that I would, because I cry easy. But when Sho said Shintayo, I think the show, like the concert in the March 17 stream, was already over for like 30 to 45 minutes, and I was still crying about that. I know that it's not part of the actual concert proper, if you will, but I like that that was the version that made it into the archive version, because I don't know, like if I just want to hear current show, No.O show, to say that, I would just tune in to Prime Video, stream that part, and it's there. And it's also something that is very accessible out there for a lot of audiences, and I don't know. But yeah, I'm just really, really happy. Like, that is my top highlight from this entire thing, is being able to hear Sho say that again. Yeah. So I'll stop this before it gets into like a whole other conversation. But yeah, so how about you? Like, what's your favorite part of the toHEROes stream? I'll put the link to the Prime Video link down below. Also, if you're not aware, me and my friend were currently the admins for the No.O PH, or No.O Philippines X account, Twitter account. So if you have a chance to follow that, then please do as well. But yeah, let's talk all of our feelings about this concert down in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon in a new one. Bye!